again, and then we can start. Okay, so let me quickly share the WhatsApp group link. If you haven't joined the WhatsApp group yet, the link is in the chat. Also, if you want to look at the WhatsApp group, the number, it is on the screen as well. And then I just want to share the attendance register. And then we can start. Okay, cool. So tonight we're gonna look at financial maths. So we'll go into a bit more detail around that. I will show you some of the calculations, how to do it on Excel. I'll also talk about how to use the financial calculator. So we will do both of those ways. So we'll definitely look at both. Then just nearly in today's session, gonna look at simple interest. We're gonna look at simple discount, compound interest, the time value of money, annuities, and if we have enough time, we will get to amortization as well. We again later on, I'll share with you like a 1 or 2 pager of formulas. So we will look at all the formulas for this. We look at examples, and then we will look at how to solve those 4 examples with looking at the calculator, and in some instances looking at Excel as well. Okay, so let's get into simple interest, and simple interest is one of those that you basically put a lump sum of money into account and you get interest on it. It's not that you will get interest on interest like in compound. You just get a yearly interest on it. The next year or the next month will be exactly the same. So your interest number will never vary from year to year. So that's nearly how the simple interest work. So if you look at the calculation nearly, and again, now there's different nearly formulas in the different study guides, and if you're going to Google it, and you want to watch a video on simple interest, just be nearly on the lookout for simple interest. Mostly it will be defined by I, but it might also refer to something else. And then if you look at how we will work out your future value in the simple interest formula, mostly on YouTube and other sources, it's reflected as A, but we will also see in some instances it's referred to as S. So just when you Google some of these terms and you want to watch videos, just be on the lookout for they use different formulas for the same thing. So the same in the interest formula. So when we need to work out simple interest, Mostly all of the formulas will have P as your principal value. Some have R as your interest, some have I as your interest, and some have T as your time in years, where others have N. So just when you see it, just know what it stands for in the other formulas. Then the other one that is important is that in the simple interest, when we need to work out the future value, this is something that you can't work out with the calculator that's programmed, because the programmed calculator for future value, present values, and all those kind of things only work with compound interest. So this, whenever we see that we need to make a simple interest calculation, we will need to use the formulas to work that out. We can't go to your HB or your Sharp or Casio and use those built-in formulas, because that is just structured for compound interest, annuities, and those kind of things. So not for your simple interest. So this is one formula that again is important when we need to make some calculations. The questions that you will get on simple interest might be, and the two that I think I've included, is that we will need to work out the interest rate, but they can give you nearly anything in that formula and you need to work out something else. So it might be that you need to work out the future value, but then they need to give you the three other variables. So whenever, with simple interest, with compound interest, with annuities, they always need to give you three data points and you work out the fourth data point. So I think that is just important, that they will never in this instance give you more information that is needed, because there can only be four data points. So they can give you your principal, your interest, and your time, and you will need to work out A. They can give you A, R, and T, and you need to work out P. So the whole time nearly we will look at that formula and need to see what do we get and what do we need to solve in it. Okay, they might also ask you to manipulate the formula. So, and let's quickly just show you how to do that. It might be that I just want to make this one clear, and then I want to quickly just copy that over. So they might ask you to say, and yes, it's nearly part of algebra where they say manipulate and put something in as the subject or object of a formula. So they might give you, and this we'll do it nearly with all the formulas, is to say rewrite it. Why did that now not? Rewrite it that he is the subject of the formula, and they might give you in the assignment or in the exam nearly four options of how the new formula will look like. Okay, so to make P the subject, all that we're going to do is to say, well, on the right-hand side, I need to get rid of the 1 plus RT. So I will divide on both sides with 1 plus RT. So if those two cancel out, then P is equal to A over 1 plus RT. Okay, so that is one that they can ask. Another one could have been to say, but let's make R the subject or the object of the formula. So then it becomes a bit different, but we will always start with the same formula. So 1 plus RT. So I'm just always making a note what I need to get to. So the first thing I would do is get rid of a P. So on both sides, I will need to divide by P. So I've got A over P is then equal to 1 plus RT. Then I need to get rid of the 1. So I will divide by 1 on both sides. So that means I'm left with RT. And now you could see if I needed to get R or if I needed to get T, I will divide by that variable. So I need to make R the subject, so I will divide on both sides with T. So my new formula then will just be A divided by P minus 1 divided by T is equal to R. Okay, so again, they might ask that in a question. They might do it with compound interest. They normally like to do it with or simple interest or compound interest that you need to rewrite the formula. So just be aware of that. I don't know if they always show you in the study guide to manipulate some of the formulas. So we will definitely, when we get to compound, we will also manipulate one of those, and we'll look at the others as well. Okay, so let me just get that the screen is cool. Okay, so the first example. So at what simple interest rate? So we must work out the interest rate. So already out of my formula, remember that is, so we will need to get to the interest rate one. So again, if you use S, some books have S, some books have A, just remember which one refer to. But again, if you watch some of the YouTube clips or videos, they might use A, they might use some of the different ones as well. Okay, so this we now saw was the formula that we will need to use when we work out R. Okay, so we will need to work out what is the simple interest. So they give us the future value, because they say at what simple interest rate must 7,000 be invested for a period of 9 months to accumulate to 7630. So we know that 7630 was the future value. We know that they've given us 7,000 as the present value. we will divide, subtract 1 from it. And then the time is we will need to divide by, they tell us 9 months. So 9 divided by 12. And that should give us the interest rate. So 7630 divided by 7,000 gives us 1.09. So if I subtract 1 from that, it gives us 0.09. And if I divide that by 9 over 12, I get that my interest rate is 0.12. But then we just need to put it in a percentage. So that times 100 will give us the percentage of 12%. Okay, so we need to manipulate the formula so that R is the subject of a calculation. Then we have all of the other information points. Important thing here is to remember that the timing is always, we need to put it into a year. So 9 months is 9 over 12. So that is in actual fact 0.75. So we will just remember we always need to use or need to put it in terms of a year. So if it was 3/4, it would have been 3 over 4. If it was, what else? They could maybe talk about half years. So what they normally would do is to use months or quarters. So that is normally the two reference points for simple interest that will be used. Okay, quickly look at question 2. It's very similar. So quickly see, I'll give you a minute or two to just see if you can put it into what you nearly need to do. Here they also talk about what is the simple interest, so you can also use this formula as we have here. So just quickly write on a page or see if you're happy to look at that and see what you would do. Okay, so very much similar. We've got the present value, we've got the future value, so that we're gonna have. They then tell us Peter's prepared to lend him the money on condition that he pays him 4 months from now. So the only thing that will differ is it will be 4 over 12, which is a third. And then again, we will work out the formula for that. So it will be 1295 divided by 1200 minus 1 will give you a weird 0.079. But if you then divide that by a third, it gives you around 23.75%. So what I've done is for both of them, I have included for answers, but you can just check for yourself as well. So I think for most of the questions that we're working through tonight, I have included some of the answers and the calculations to the answers as well. And again, I will share it afterwards. So we'll share the presentation and we'll share the recording. And then I'll share that on the WhatsApp group as well. So if you have not joined the WhatsApp group yet, please do so. And then I will add you to the WhatsApp group, and then I will also send you the previous documentation and recordings and those kind of things. Also, just for the guys that might have joined for the first time on this session as well, WhatsApp link is in the chat now. I will later on give the number as well again that you can join, and then we'll share, as I did last week, I'll just share all the recordings again with all the presentations, but what I'll also do is share the link to one of my YouTube channels so that you can look at previous year sessions as well. Okay, so that is simple interest. So the next one that we will look at is simple discount. So with a discount rate, what you will see is it's slightly different to simple interest, but the same principles nearly apply. So you will still have a future value, you will have a present value. Instead of a simple interest rate, we will call it a simple discount rate. You will still have a timeline attached to it. So the only difference nearly is that instead of having it as a plus, we will have it as a minus. So because it is nearly, you're getting discount on something, so you basically subtracting that piece of discount from the original. So that where you normally will add it, with simple discount, you're nearly getting and are they, if you need a definition, if an interest computed based on the final amount is paid at the beginning of a specific period of time, where your interest is nearly paid in advance, so you get that bit of discount on that interest that is paid on advance. Okay, so this, I don't think we really often see simple discount really playing off in practice. We were more, it's more really the compound interest that we will see in real life. Nobody really gives us simple discount because the way that businesses make money is on interest. So you don't really see in any, if you buy anything that they will advertise it. If you pay up front, you will get a discount on it. So it's nearly not in our practice nowadays to really look at simple discount, but it might be in the exam that they might ask you a question on it, also in your assignment. So I think that's nearly the only reason why we still look at simple discount. So let's in that vein as well, let's just look at a question. You can also see that this is the discount. So if you only need to work out the discount, like in the previous one, if you only need to work out the interest, it is important. It's your future value times your discount rate times the period. So look at just the difference between the two. There it was your present value times interest rate times the period. Now it is the future value times discount times n, because the assumption is that instead of paying 6,000 Rand over 6 months, you get a discount, so you pay 5,000 Rand now. Okay, so that is nearly the big difference in the two, is you get a discount because instead of paying over a certain period, you're paying now. So that's why they built in a discount. It nowadays nearly what they will say is if you pay cash, you maybe get a discount. So that is nearly the principle. Instead of paying by credit card, you pay by cash. Somebody might give you discount, and that is nearly what this then entails, is that discount that you get. Okay, so let's look at a question around this. So a loan that has to be repaid in 9 months, it looks like they love this 9 months in all the questions, has a discount rate of 12%. Okay, so we know that the discount rate is 12%. We know that the time period is 9/12. Then they say the present or discounted value is 8,000. So what is the loan that needs to be repaid? So if we look at that, they say the P is equal to, so let's just copy that formula over. So if you look at that, we have also the P value. So we have the P is 8,000. So we have the P, we have the D, we've got the N, we need to get to the S. Okay, so let's just rewrite that formula a bit, because we will need to make S the subject of the formula. So again, to have S on its own, we will need to get rid of the 1 minus D times N. How we do that is on both sides multiply by 1 minus D over N. So if I do that, that will be equal to S. So now you can see we've got that, we've got that, we've got that. So we are able to work out what the S amount is. So we've got 8,000. Okay, I should have replaced that. Sorry, let's quickly. So 0.12 times 9/12. So 0.12 times 9 divided by 12. I get 0.09, so I must subtract that from 1, which gives me 0.91. So let's just, if you later on watch the recording again, that we don't skip S. So our value of S will be 7280. Okay, so so again, what we could have done, and they could have asked you a few things on this nearly. Sorry, I just see. Okay, can you guys still see the presentations? Just give me a thumbs up. Just had something weird. Okay, cool. Okay, so here they ask us to work out that future value. They could have given us the future value and ask us to work out the present value, but what is important with simple discount, and that is nearly how you can check yourself as well, is when you're doing simple interest, your future value will always be more than your present value, because it's interest that is accumulated on your present value, so you will pay more. When you work with discount, your future value will be less than your present value. Okay, so because you're getting a discount on that. So just make sure when you're working that out and check your answers that you nearly pick that up. So and I will check if I don't have it now, I will include it in another session. Just questions that one can eliminate certain options. So I don't think I have it in this presentation, but when we prep for the exam as well, I will look at previous papers and show you how we can eliminate certain of the answers because it needs to be a certain value. Okay, so, but I will show you later on how to do that. So don't worry about it now. When we prep for the exam, I will show you guys how to make it a bit easier for yourself to eliminate certain options, because there's always options that is not applicable. Okay, so that is when we look at when we started off, that simple interest, simple discount is done. Now we go into compound interest. Compound interest, the only difference between compound interest and simple interest is basically compound interest means that you get interest on interest. So the big difference between the formula is that suddenly where you had normally your R times N, now it is to the power of N, because the longer you have something in a compound interest, the more value will get out of it, because then you get that compounding effect, as they call it. So it's basically interest on interest. Again, if you Google or look at YouTube, there's again two different variables that they will use for amount. So it is S or A that they will use. The rest will stay very similar. So again, just when you Google it, when you look at other YouTube videos, just make sure that, again, most of them actually reference it as A, but I know in our study guides we like to reference it as S. So just be on the lookout for that difference. But else, it normally stays the same. It's the principal, it's your interest rate, and it is your time. What is important in compound interest is, if I say it's monthly, we will divide by 12, but then also important, when we do to the power of, there will be 12 that we need to put there as well. So just be, again, when we make it into a monthly or a quarterly or half yearly, very important that number of times per year that something happens. What I have seen as well in some of the exams is they will nearly have an option for you. If you ignore the per month or per quarter, you will get the answer for that as well. So just be very careful, especially they love to ask for per month and per quarter, that you just incorporate that also into the formula. So again, just very important in this, that just take note of the N. So I'm probably gonna make it a bit of yellow. Just make sure about that N, that you, when you work it out, that you really, and we will look at an example of that as well. So that is nearly the most important in the compound interest formula, is when they talk terms in it. Okay, again, like simple interest, we're going to go through two examples. Again, the answers are there as well. So like in the previous one, there is answer set as well for you to later look at. So we're basically going to do the one. I'm going to leave a second one. You can see the formula is all there as well. I'll draw a timeline for you for the second one, and then you can try that later on. And if you need help to work it out, you can always ask on the WhatsApp group as well, to say, but I've looked at the recording, or I've looked at the question, and can anyone assist, and we will work through that. Okay, so let's look at the question 3. So an amount of 1,000 has accumulated to 1,500. So let's first put the formula down. So again, you will see, as in some of the simple interest, we now need to calculate the interest rate. Okay, so it's a bit different and a bit more complicated when we do it with compound interest, but again, you can see they love nearly to ask to work out the interest rate, or to work out the term. And it will be interesting to get feedback later on when you guys do the assignment, to also how many of it was that you needed to work out a future value or present value versus some of the interest, because that automatically means that you needed to work and change the formula. So let's, again, in this instance, change the formula. So it is S over P is equal to 1 plus r over n to the power of n times t. Okay, so now how to get rid of the nt is we basically need to, on both sides, need to go and say, well, we will do to the power of 1 over nt. But if we do something to the power of, and let's just use x, and we said x to the power of n 1 over nt is the same as the square root, but then nt is in the square root. So you can, again, with your calculator, when we finally get to put in some of those values, because we've got 2.5 years, we've got compounded monthly, so n will be 12, t will be 2.5, so that will be to the power of 1 over 25, or to the square root of 25. So again, one can use what is on the calculator. I don't have square root or to the square root of 25, so I rather for now work with 1 over n to the power of t. So because we did it on both sides, we can cancel that out. So we're sitting with 1 plus r over n. Okay, so now you can see how complex the compound interest formula is starting to look like. So that will basically mean that now we will need to minus on both sides with 1. So we get rid of the 1, and then finally we need to get rid of the n, so we need to divide by n. So that will be r. So that is, sure, a lot of, if you want to use nearly the formula to get to it, that's a lot of work. It's something different if we need to, if they give us it as just a question to make R the object or subject of your formula, but to do this calculation to get to that answer, it is quite a lot, and it is very easy to make in this a mistake. Okay, but we have done it now, so let's substitute the numbers and see what it is, and then I'm also going to show you I'm just going to give you the shortcuts on the calculator, because again, on the financial calculator we will be able to do it. I'm going to check if we can probably do it on Excel as well. So let's first get 1,500 divided by 1,000. So we said that is to the power of 2.5 times 12. That's actually 50. How did I? So we need to still subtract 1 from that and then divide by n, which is 2.5, but again, let's just go back to the formula. So that is 2.5. Okay, so yes, there is a question.
Hi, Jean.
Yes,
So I was looking at the compound interest. Yeah, you did have me a bit lost there. It was very complex. But then I wanted to just inquire with regards to the one over the NT.
yes.
So we're just then going to have that our numerator would it be then one so that we can denominate so that denominate the 2.5 years so that we can get a round figure of um, a full year so that we have the interest rate.
Yeah, so and see, so that is you can do it on both ways. So you could have had, let's quickly, oh sorry, so I made a mistake here. I needed to say times n. So thank you for that. Let's quickly go back to this, like you now said. So we've got the 1 plus r over n, so we took the minus to that side. So that is what we had. Then, okay, so thank you for that. Actually, so it's not divided by n, it's times n. Okay, so to get to r, it would have been times n. So you could have left it like this and work it out. Then you will get your interest for that period, or a monthly interest. So you can decide nearly, again, I'm just worried in a sense that, and I'll show you the answer now, that if we keep it this way, that I'm worried that you're going to show it as a monthly, um, and it should then be yearly, so that they might give one option as monthly and one option as yearly, but they say they want a yearly interest rate. So that is the only way nearly with the N that I'm worried if you don't use it.
Okay, so don't you think when we find the interest rate of the monthly, won't we perhaps have to times it by the 12 because already it's 2.5 years. So
Yes.
basically it's 2 years, 6 months.
So so
You
you
understand?
will see, so you will in a sense multiply it by the 12. So here, sorry, and I should have, so that is the 12. So you will in a sense multiply it by 12 because we've moved that away from there. So if you got that answer there already, you could have multiplied it by 12 and you would get the same. Does that
Okay.
nearly make sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, I do. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Okay. So, but you can see this is, I I will nearly avoid doing it with a formula, because
Mm-hmm.
it is quite a lot of work. And I easily made the mistake here to actually divide and instead to multiply. So by just doing one thing wrong in this long calculation, one can easily make a mistake. Okay, so you can use the formula. So if you're happy to use the formula, do that. But let's quickly, I want to show you something in Excel as well. And then what I'm doing, going to show you in Excel I'm going to use the same things that you would use on any of the financial calculators. So if you have a present value on your calculator, we're going to use the same number in here. If you got the future value on a calculator, we're going to use the same in this formula. You would, and in this instance, we're going to work out the interest rate. The interest rate per year. So that we're going to work out. I'm going to make this bigger now. And then the other two things that we have is N and T. Okay, so let me just make this bigger that you guys can see. Okay, so they told us the present value was 1,000. Yeah, I just quickly want to get to where the answer was. So if we went through that whole process, it would have been 16.33. Okay, so I just want to, as reference, have that. Okay, so we've got the future value. Sorry for that. We've got the future value as 15,000. Remember, as with your calculators, we normally need to put one as negative because that is how your financial calculator works, but that is how Excel works as well. They told us it's monthly. They told us it is 2.5 years. So I just want to include another one here, which is when how many periods was that where I had it as 25, it's actually 30. Again, my head is not. But then in your Excel formulas, there is and let's just quickly get what is the interest rate formula. It is what is it called? I'll just write. Okay, so let's quickly look at where they ask your number of payment periods. So we know it's 30. They tell us what is there any monthly payments that we made? No. What's the present value? What's the future value? And then they asked us, is this now, so let's just do that. So is the payment at the beginning, or is it at the end, or we just omit it? And now to your point, Kanye, is that what Excel does, and I think one of the caches or one of the other ones, I'm not 100% sure which one. So that now gives you the interest rate in a monthly format. So you still need to multiply that by to get your, so Excel is doing exactly what you said. It is working out a monthly interest rate, but you then need to know you still need to multiply it with that number of n. So I will share this with you guys as well, because this is a nice one to, and think there is maybe another problem, then we will put in another formula here. So this was when we needed to work out the interest. Okay, so again, just remember, so I've now created it so that whatever, so if your period is not monthly but quarterly, you just change it to 4 and the rest will automatically change. If it was say 5 years instead of 2.5, then again it will have an impact. So you can please play around with this. Again, if you get different present values and future values, you can also put it into this formula. Okay, but I will share the present or the Excel with you guys as well. What you could also have done on your financial calculator is, so on the financial calculator, and I'm now specifically referring to the HP, but it will be nearly exactly the same on the other calculators, is for present value, you would have put in a -1,000. For future value, you will put in 1,500. You then need to change and sorry, it's your times per year, so it might be a bit different on the different calculators. As some say P/YR, some might say P/R, so it does seem a bit different on it, but you know it is 12 times per year. Then your N is 2.5 years. And let's now, so that's the N on your calculator. So let's just make it T so that it is also in line with the calculation on this side. That will be a 30 period. And then on your calculator, if you then press your interest rate, it will automatically give you the 16.33%. Okay, so on your calculators, you don't need to worry about the times 12 because you already told the calculator in this part that it needs to work with it as 12 times per year. Okay, so that is where the calculator is cleverer than Excel, in the sense that because it's a built-in formula, it already has it that you prompted it that it needs to be 12 times a year. Okay, so that is the one difference between using the calculator and Excel. In Excel, I needed to build it into the formula, where on your calculator, it is already there. So you just need to say, remember calculator, we work on 12 times per year. So then it will be in there. Okay, so that's the big difference between Excel and your financial calculator. Is nearly you need to tell Excel again to go and re-look at that formula. Okay. I've included the answer to that next question. So do practice it, go through it, check if you can do it. what they've done is they've split it into two, that you nearly need to work out two answers. So play around with it and share a bit. If you struggle, please ask on the group and we can look at that. Okay, the next one that is very similar to your future value and your present value is annuities. And nearly what annuities does is, and I work in the insurance industry, so basically annuities is a monthly premium that you put away, you get interest on it. So it, and that's why you can see here is this formula in there on nearly interest on interest. But also what happens is that it's not a once off payment, it's a monthly payment. Okay, so that's why the formula is a bit different, because on this month I'm getting interest, then the next month there comes another amount in, and then I get more interest. So I nearly get interest on interest for the second month, but then there's a first payment again. So what this nearly tells us is that I'm getting, and that's why there's a -1. So for the month that you, and let me quickly just draw 2 months. So end of the first month, you make a payment. End of the second month, you make a payment. But on that first payment, you now received interest. So the third month, now on that first payment, you receive interest. On that second payment, you now start to receive interest. And now you make a new payment. So it's nearly every payment gets interest. And when you make the next payment, the previous payment, so it's nearly a repeat of the process, and you're just gaining more interest as you go along the process. That's why, again, you will see that at the beginning of a lot of these products, the interest is very small, or you think that you're not earning enough interest, and then suddenly in 5 or 10 years' time, it is a massive amount that has accumulated. And that is just because of that rolling effect of the interest. So when we look at annuities, we will use the same principle. So we've got, if you need to work out the future value, we will have enough information to, they need to tell us or what the payments per month is, or what the period is. So they can ask us to work out the present value, but the same principle, they need to give us all the other information. Okay, so to understand the formula again is, don't try and go and study it. And again, you guys, when you're writing exams, you got access, and I must just make sure that I think you guys are writing an open book. I just need to make 100% sure again. But as far as I know, it's open book. You can look at your formulas. That's why I am creating a formula page for you guys as well, that by the end of April, before you need to start studying, you will have that formula page that you can reference all the formulas towards. So please don't go and study this. When you're doing the examples and you want to understand how to use the formula, you can do it. But you will see when I now work out this, yes, there is a formula that there is for you, but I am going to use Excel and I'm going to show you just what to put into a calculator as well. The answer how to use the formula is in the presentation that I'm going to share afterwards, but I want to show you the other ways to do it as well. So let's quickly read through this and see what they are giving us and what we need to nearly add to it. So suppose that at the end of the month of his 31st birthday, Ken decides to deposit 400 into his savings account at the end of each month. Okay, so we know that he's making a monthly payment of 400 Rand. The savings account pays interest at a rate of 18% per annum, compounded monthly. So interest rate is 18%. What is the amount of money that Ken will have in his account on his 50th birthday? Okay, so from 35 to 50. So that is 15 years. So we know that if we look at N, it is 15 years. Let's just look at how many times compounded monthly. So we know that the period per month is 12. So we can work out a future value from that by using our financial calculators. That will be your PMT or your monthly payment on your calculator. I normally like to add a present value, which is 0, because we started the present value off as 0. And the reason why I like to do that is I'm always worried what is in the memory of my financial calculator. So to make it 0 present value, I nearly clear already what was in it, so that it just doesn't take that in consideration. I'm just always careful when I'm doing this that something hasn't been left and it takes it into account. Okay, PMT minus 400. So that is our monthly payment into this savings account. It is 18% interest. They told us that it is monthly, so it's 12 times per year for 15 years. So if we also multiply that out just to check it, we will see it's 180 periods that we are working with. And then your future value, if you press it, will be 36249.81.
Sorry, Jim, just to interrupt there.
Yeah, please
Just a
do.
bit.
Yeah.
Um, I think my mind is just running wild with the compound interest because I'm already calculating also on my side.
Yes.
So if the interest rate is 18% per year, and then this is going to be over a period of 15 years. So if we have to check it as to how if it's compounded monthly, I don't know if it's right. Wouldn't I then divide the 18 by the 12 to
See,
get at least per month as to how much percent is it per month?
okay, so when you look at the formula, you would, when you use the formula, yes, you would do it. And that,
Okay.
so it's good that you ask it, because in the formula you need to do it. With a calculator, it is built into it, because you're saying 12 times per year. It is automatically
Okay.
built into it that you don't need to divide by 12. It does it for you. And
Mm-hmm.
and and that is where the difference comes in. So if you now work on your calculator, and you divide that by 12 still, you're dividing it by 12, and then your calculator is going to divide it by 12 as well. So then it becomes even smaller. So that's just the big difference between working with a formula and working with a calculator. And that is a very good question, because in the formula, when you work with I, you need to divide it by 12 because of a monthly effect. The
Yes.
calculator has it built in, because the financial calculators, because they have it built into the formula in the back end nearly. So if you did not say 12 times per year, then you needed to divide it by 12 and still use the 180, and you will get to the same answer. But
Okay, so that means basically if the financial calculator would then be doing it
yes,
annually, basically. It would calculate it annually, but then if I do the formula, then I'll be doing it then monthly.
yes, yes.
All right.
So the important thing with a financial calculator is where you add the period per year. Um, because again, if you, let's just take that. So if it was um, quarterly, then this will change to 4 times, but in this formula, it would have also been divided by 4. So, and I think that is the big, nearly sometimes the confusion when one works with a financial calculator and the formula, is because you want to nearly divide by 12 because you did it in the formula. But and that's exactly nearly like in the previous one also. The formula automatically picks up that you need to divide by it. So for the formula, you need to do it. But when you use the calculator, it is already built in. So and you guys can practice that nearly with, and I'll look at, I think there is a few examples in the study guide as well, but I will look for one or two more to share with you. So again, just important those two, how to use it, because you can see that answer and that one is exactly the same. Um, and now I'm gonna use Excel, where so it's nearly, I want to nearly say to you guys that it's nearly, find one of these that works for you. Um, that, because I'm just showing you all the methods, but find one that you're comfortable in, because you must not learn all three methods. So if you are comfortable in using the formula, use it. If you're comfortable in using the financial calculator, use it. If you're comfortable in using Excel, use it. But don't nearly go and use all three of them, because it does differ between what you need to put into it to get to the answer. So I'm just nearly want to 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 guide you guys against nearly trying to do all three of them. Try to nearly get which one works for you and work with that. Okay, so I just want to quickly, I'm gonna put in the information that they've given us into this. So in this one, we're not going to work out the interest rate. We're going to work out the future value. So I'm making that just the subject of, so we're going to get to the future value. So I'm going to do that. As you can see, that now have changed. I also just want to put in the PMT. Okay, so PMT, we know it was minus 400. The N, we know it was 12 times a year. It was for 15 years. The interest rate, what was it? 18%. So now again, Kanye, here we will need to, and let's now just see what how Excel sees it. So let's work out the future value. So it asks us for the rate. So I'm going to put that in. We need to maybe change it a bit. Number of periods was for 180. The payment was minus 400. There wasn't a present value, so that's why I just added it. And they told us payment is at the end of each month. So let's just for default put that in. And let's see why is that different. Let's quickly see. End of a period, sorry, needs to be 0. So payment at the end of this period is 0 or omitted. So I'm just putting in the 0. Okay, so there you will see the same amount. So again, here, like Kanye, what you said, with Excel is in this instance not clever enough to pick up its monthly. So you need to tell it with the interest rate, it is a monthly interest rate. So that's the big difference between Excel and your financial calculator. Your financial calculator is clever enough to pick up the period, where Excel, you need to tell it. So again, if you want to use Excel, it's really a nice tool, but you then need to remember that you're working with this, that times is very important. that you nearly have that into the equation. So that is nearly the important thing between using the calculator and using Excel is with Excel, you need to make sure that your interest is worked out correctly. And that is exactly the same as how you would have done it with a formula. So that is nearly, so if you like to use the formula, Excel will be a nice example or a nice way because that is in line with how the formula works. Okay, so that is just that one difference between using the formula, using your calculator, and it's only when it comes to the period. So if it was compounded yearly on a yearly rate, then it is fine because then we don't divide by anything. Then Excel financial calculator formula will be exactly the same. It's just when we start now adding or introducing, if it is done monthly, and unfortunately, most of the calculations nearly will be monthly. If you think about it, if we do a home loan, you pay monthly a home loan. So you get a value that you borrow at the beginning, you will have a future payment. So when we get to amortization, those kind of things, it is monthly. So car repayments, it's monthly. When you put away a savings, most of the time you're putting away a monthly savings into account. So if it is a tax-free account or you guys that are working and have retirement annuities and those kind of things, it's a monthly payment that you're making. So most of your questions will be a monthly thing that is added to it nearly. So just be aware of it that most of the times they will talk about monthly. So we nearly need to know that. Okay, so let's look at this one. Again, look at it, try it on which method you would have wanted to do it. So I will share now what the answer is and we can go through it. But just look at it and just jot down a few things what you would have done nearly to solve it if this was a question in the exam. And just while you guys are jotting it down, I just want to again quickly put in a few links into the chat. So if you haven't joined the WhatsApp group yet, there is a link now to join, attendance register. Also now in the chat, and I think, let me just put in the evaluation in any case. If we forget by the end of a session, there's the evaluation form as well. Then just to the guys that are on this session that might not have access to the meetings or to the Western Cape portal, just please send a email to the Western Cape region, and I will also just put this into the chat. So also, if you can't see the chat or don't have access to the chat, just to ctntut@unisa.ac.za. They will give you access to the Western Cape portal that you can access more things. You don't need to be part or be in the Western Cape region. Please, that is not, you don't need to worry about that. You can be in any region. They can give you access to that portal because there is other subjects, first year subjects that there might also be that you have access to and can listen to recordings and can look at presentations. And all of these recordings are there as well, but I will put other recordings onto it, onto our WhatsApp group as well. Okay, so let's look at this one and let's just jot down a few things. So the Collins family are planning a trip to Europe and want to have 45,500 in their account in 3 years' time. Okay, so here we've got that they said in 3 years' time they want to have a future amount of 45,500. So in 3 years' time they want to have that amount. The account will pay 14% interest per annum, compounded half yearly. Okay, so 14% interest. Half yearly is 2 times per year. What amount must they deposit into the account at the end of every 6 months? So basically, what is that payment that they need to make after every 6 months? So there will be one, there will be two. So in total, there will be 6 payments. Okay, so we can use Excel. I like Excel, so I'm quickly going to show Excel. The answer is here as well. You will be able to use the formula as well as, so I want to use this because then we've got another formula in PMT that you can get access to. So again, I will just change a bit of these things and I will share this with you guys. So again, don't worry, I will share that this in the WhatsApp group as well that you get access to it. So let's quickly see. I just want to make it smaller that we see what information did they give us. Okay, so they told us that we've got a present value of 0. We started off as 0. We have a future value of 45,500 that we're going to work out. Now they told us it's not 12 times a year, it's twice a year. So in the formula, it's automatically built into it that we work with 12 or with 2. They told us it's for 3 years. Then remember that, so now it was 14%. And now we will work out what the PMT is. So let me just make it a bit bigger, that we can just see all the numbers in it. So PMT again is a formula within Excel that you can use. The rate, so again, Kanye, to your point of previously, you would have taken the 14 divided by 2. So I now programmed it into, yeah, but that is what you would do. your numbers per year or your periods is that one. Your present value is 0. Your future value is that. Your type, again, they told us it is at the end of the period, so we need to put in 0. And because I did not make that one negative, you can see that automatically now suddenly my answer is negative, but it should be positive. So by doing that, we also get the 6360.71. So again, we can do it on Excel. You can do it with the formula. You can do it with your financial calculator. It will give you the same answer. So nearly once again, see which one works best for you and use that to get to the answers. Again, I will share the spreadsheet so that you guys have it. If you want to use it, please use it. Okay, so getting to the last part of the financial calculations, and it is on amortization. So again, sure, also a big word. Basically, what amortization is, and this is when you look at your house, your car, anything that has nearly a longer period, you have an amount that you need to pay off. They work out the interest on it, and you basically pay an amount, and nearly, if the interest rate stays the same, a fixed amount every month. Okay, so if you have a personal loan, it works exactly the same. What you basically, for that first period of time, what you're paying off is a lot of the interest. And only nearly at the end part, you actually getting the value out of it. But that is we borrow money to buy assets. So that is how the principle behind amortization. So what they can ask you is, and let me just make a note here to, and if you guys can in the chat just tell me which which financial calculators you're using, so that I can just look at a guide for calculators. That I can also share that with you. I've got the HP, so I will share that with you. But if you can just in the chat tell me you've got a Sharp or you've got a Casio, I just want to send you okay, so we've got one Sharp. If somebody else have, okay, so I will just get you guys some of the ways to work out amortization, because again, yes, we've got a formula to work with, but it is a lot. So specifically, if they ask you in the detail, and I'll show you now in an example. It's fine if they ask the first period that you need to work out or something like that. But when it is in a like year that we were working, where was it? In 180-month period, and they say something weird like work out one of the periods, I want at least that you have a guide to look at it and how to get to that answer. In here we can see what we need to do. I'll quickly explain after we've worked out the repayment period. I'll quickly show you in the amortization table how to get certain of the things with working out with formulas, just that you have a principle. But then I will share with you guys the sharp and the Casio nearly a formula sheet on what you need to put in, so that you have that at least, because again they might ask you it a bit differently than what I'm gonna show you. So here what they're telling us is Sibongile is purchasing a computer for 9,500 and obtains a 3-year loan at 12% interest. So this is a short loan. So 3 years, then if you need to make it 6 monthly payments, 3 years, you basically have 6 rows that you're going to worry about. So that is something that you might easily work out. It's something different if it is monthly, 20 years, there's 240 payments. So again, that's why I want to just show you guys or share with you some of the Excel, not Excel, sorry, the financial calculators, how you can then program your calculators to work it out. But let's quickly look at this. So they ask us for this one to calculate the 6 monthly payments. So they want us to work out what is your PMT. And then they said, but draw up a amortization table. Again, they can't ask you to draw up a amortization table because it's online. They must ask you to fill in gaps. So they can ask you to work out the PMT, which we will do. And then I'll show you something else that they can ask you in your assignment. So here what we have, so he purchased it for 9.5. So he pays it off. So your future value at the end is going to be 0 because he's going to owe 0 to whoever, if you have taken the loan from the bank or from wherever he bought it, your future value will be 0, that because the loan will be paid off. It will be, your interest rate will be 12%. Your period per year will be twice a year. So again, in the formula, if you use the formula, it will be divided by 2. If you use Excel, it will be divided by 2. If you use financial calculator, keep it as 12 because you're putting in the 2 times per year. And then we know it is for 3 years. So it will give you 6 periods. Okay, so that we can put into our financial calculator. So again, us always will put in the future value as 0. So whenever I need to, then I know it didn't take my previous answer and stored it. The future value 0, present value minus 9,500, sorry. Interest per year is 12%, 2 times a year. Remember, it's not 12, it's 2 times a year for 3 years, which gives us the 6 periods. And then if I press PMT, I will get that my monthly payments is 1,931 Rand and 95 cents. Okay, so if we quickly go to, okay, so I've got 95, they've got 94. But again, you could have used the formula you would see, and Kanye, again, to your point, that would have been 0.12 divided by 2. So when you use the formula, very important to remember that now this time it was a half yearly interest rate that you need to work with. So what they can do in your assignment and in your exam is they could give you that information up front. They can give you this table, and they could have had in this table and said, and let me quickly, why can't I now get access to that? They could have had that one blocked out. They could have had that one blocked out, and they could have said, okay, calculate what is A in that block, and let's just say for now, calculate that one. Okay, so so when we look at this, the repayments that we did, and I want to draw now again, let's just use a different color that will be clear enough for you to see. Okay, so these payments goes into that payment line, and you can see when you add those, so you made 6 payments of, and I'm just not gonna, so you made 6 payments of that. So 1931.45 times 6. So in essence, you paid, or let's say Simogele paid 11,588 Rand and 70 cents. Okay, it's a bit different because of rounding off. So automatically you can nearly see he started off with 9,500. He paid that month or half yearly. In the end, he paid 11,588. So if I say to you, what is the interest that he paid, you could have said, okay, that 11,558 is the 6 periods that I paid that payment. If I subtract the original amount, I will be able to get the total interest that I have paid. Okay, so that is one way to do it. The other way is to say, but let's work out what that interest is for the first one. So we know from the first part of the work that we did. So for your interest payment is your principal, which is 9,500, times your interest rate times the period. So again, you could have said 9,500 times 0.06, and that will give your initial interest. Okay, so that is how we work out that initial interest. Then the other thing that we need to be able to work out is we've got a value at the beginning. So that is whatever we started off with. So the 9,500 is what we started off with. We accumulated interest to that 9,500. So at this point, before we made the payment, we actually had 9,500 plus the 570. Then we made a payment of 1931,94. So after that first 6 months, what is left of my loan is 9,500 plus 750 minus 1931.94, which you will see is 8138.06. So that is my value that I will start off with again. So now my next period to work out the interest, my value that I start off with is 8,158 Rand and 06 cents. Now I will need to multiply that by the interest rate, subtract the payment, then get a new one that will be the start of my third period. Repeat the process, repeat the process, repeat the process until I have basically zero into my seventh period because I have paid it up. Yes, yes, Kanye, that's exactly it. So the principal repaid that you see here is just every time the payment minus, so just in this instance, it's the payment minus the interest. So sometimes there is in certain of the areas that we add here another column to say the end of a period, so that sometimes in year it would have been the 138 as well, and then we nearly take it over. So again, there might be 3 or 4 different ways that they can visually give you a table. I'm just thinking they might, this one they normally exclude. So how it normally would look like is that your table will be the periods. So then the amount that you started off with, then your interest, so the 570, your principal or your payment of the 1931.94, and then normally your last column or your fifth column will be the end value. So they normally don't in the tables give you this principal repaid. They just wanted to show you the process nearly of how it works. But normally it will be your beginning plus your interest minus your repayment that gives you a new value that you will start off with again. So that is normally the process how it works. So what I want to nearly share with you and that's why, so for the guys that have been dropping off and coming back. Just in the chat, tell me what is the calculator type that you're using. I'm gonna ask it in any case on the WhatsApp chat as well, because I know a lot of you guys can only watch the recording later on. So also in the WhatsApp chat, I will ask just what type of calculator you guys are using, so that I can just share some more information around how to calculate amortization, specifically if they now have asked you to work out something in period 4. Again, it's fine with your assignments that you work it out step by step, but in the exam, when it's timed, you want nearly a shortcut to get to that. So yes, we can use that formula, but I also want to share with you a process that you can work with on your calculator. So again, for the guys that will listen later on, I will ask it on the WhatsApp group. Not tonight. I will ask it tomorrow or somewhere in the week, that we just share that with me. Then that is it for tonight. But I'm gonna stop the recording so that I can put it on the system tonight.